From Salt.
Ready? Commissioner Treecost, are you on Zoom? Commissioner Treecost, are you on Zoom? I will call the Harrison County Commission meeting to order for Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. I do not believe Commissioner Treecost is on Zoom, so it was just Mr. Hinkle and myself. If you will rise and join in the invocation and pledge, please. Join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And deliver us. Got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I understand we have some people signed up to speak in public.
Yes, we do. Don Myers is signed up first.
Step up here. And we have a 3-minute limit. I don't know if you're aware of that. You can see the clock up here.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here to address the issues of the water and sewer issues in our towns in Harrison County. West Virginia, we have 10 cities. At present time, we have at least 4, that's only 4 I've made it to so far, that have major sewer issues. In the city of Salem, we've taken perfectly good land and turned it into a sponge. It stinks so bad you can't be within 10 yards of it. We've turned people's yards into impassable places that'll sink to your knees because our sewers no longer work. In the town of Lumberport, we literally have raw shit running down the streets, excuse my language, but that's the truth of it. And it's kind of like this. We have sewer issues in at least these areas: Salem, West Milford, Lumberport, Felder, Reynoldsville, and Shinston at least. Now, these here are not hard to find. Anybody you talk to will tell you. If there's any doubt in your mind what I tell you is true, that's WBOY about Lumberport. Anything that I'm telling you, I'm willing to back up with facts and show you. Now, what I'm asking from you is, what are we going to do about it? Because let's be honest, we're in this together. There is no I, and there is no you. There's us. We have to come up with a solution. And I know it's not very many feasible because of the costs, but we have to do something. Because we have Lumberport poisoning 10 Mouse Creek. When I was a kid, that was the best fishing place in this county. Today, you can't catch a fish on it. There was 4 of us that went fishing. We managed to catch 1 in the night. We used to catch 50 or 60 in an hour. Our streams are being destroyed. Now, if our streams are being destroyed, are we not also poisoning the land? Is it not also affected? Are these places that the sewer is running out, are they not contaminated? And are our cities safe to live in anymore? I ask you these questions because I don't have any answers. And I've seen this on the news just like everybody else did. And I'm curious to know. And I ask you, what is our solutions? Because we have none. Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Bill Bartley.
My name is Bill Bartley, and I'm a significant owner of land on the 10 Mile Creek. And by what I want to do is I want to open up a park to the public on that creek on my land. I plan on doing that within the next year. But I'm kind of wondering whether I'll be able to do that or not with this kind of publicity or contamination to 10 Mile Creek. I've owned land on that creek now for 30 years approximately. And I can remember a day when there were freshwater mussel in that creek. And from what I understand, there was a project done by WVU somewhere around about 96, 98, somewhere in that area with a bunch of shredded paper that they were supposed to do something with dolomite. When they did that project, I started noticing a couple of years after that, how that river started to die. Like I said, at one time it was so pristine that it had freshwater mussel in it. And like Mr. Meyer said, now you'd be lucky to catch a fish in it. And so I want to know why this. I've had EPA attorneys involved in this. I've had the EPA from Canaan Valley involved in this. Nobody seems to be doing anything about cleaning up 10 Mile Creek from what it used to be 30 years ago. And it's not like I can't prove what it looked like. I have video of what it looked like when it was pristine 30 years ago. So I'd just like to know what we're going to do, where the money's coming from to fix this issue. I mean, like I said, I own a significant amount of land on 10 Mile, and I plan on opening up a park in this county with this property for my retirement. I want to do that within the next 2 years. And I plan on having trout fishing, RC racetracks, RC boat racing in 10 Mile River or Creek is what I also plan on advertising. But I'm reluctant to do that now because of this issue here. And I want to know if it's anything that we could do to get this issue fixed within the next year or two before I plan on opening my park next spring. And I would like this for tent camping down along the 10 Mile Creek. I bought this property 30 years ago for this purpose. 30 years down the road, it's a polluted river now. In wintertime, it looks like antifreeze. Before it looked like a mountain river, mountain stream. But it doesn't look that way anymore. And I like to know what we're gonna do about getting it fixed. I mean, it's really pathetic to watch this river die the way I have over the past 30 years. I have seen it to the point where it was so orange. I mean, it looked like someone had just poured orange food coloring in the water. And all because of this project that they did with the shredded paper back in 97 or 98 to dolomite. Before that, the river was absolutely beautiful. Now it's just a polluted river. And I really wouldn't let my kids play in it today. So, we need to get something done about that river. Because I plan on bringing revenue into this county with this park. And I just like to get it finished, get this thing fixed back to somewhat what it used to look like 30 years ago when I bought this property for this very purpose. And like I said, now 30 years down the road, I'm looking at a polluted river that was once pristine enough to have osprey eagles nesting in there. I mean, I have all this on video.
Sir, your 3 minutes are up.
Okay.
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you. Anyone?
Yes, Tamiko Exford.
Good morning, I'm Tamiko Exford. I'm with FEMA and we are here in your city to provide you with some support. West Virginia residents were impacted by severe storms August 28th through the 30th, and now they can apply for assistance. We have a disaster recovery center that is set up at the other courthouse building on the corner there, and there are SBA, Small Business Administration representatives that are there also. I have my SBA colleague here also with me, and he will provide you information as well. let me just say that the way to register for assistance, there's a phone number, there's an 800 number, it's 1-800-621-3362. And I will also be sending you news releases, fact sheets, and keeping you up to date with the things that we're doing in your area. I am the intergovernmental and the congressional liaison, so I'm appointed to serve you. I have gotten your email addresses, so be looking out for me to send emails to you. One of the things that we ask in some cases as part of the registration for the application process is that some people will be referred to the Small Business Administration, and we ask that you complete that application, and depending on the decision that is made based on your SBA application, you may be referred to us, or you may be able to receive low interest rate loans. Yep, okay.
Well, thank you so much for the time and opportunity. I brought some flyers if I can. Sure. And some business cards too. Yep. While we are visiting, I know that this was for the floods of August 28th. I know that sometimes the procedures take time. That this declaration, it was declared on January 31st. That's why we are here now. One of the main purposes of us visiting is to help us sharing the information with the citizens, and of course sharing more knowledge with the county commissioners. I know that you all know that you all have knowledge about us, FEMA, SBA, but we want to share more important information about us. We are SBA, but we are not regular SBA. We are the Office of Disaster Assistance. So that's very important to know. And we don't only provide assistance for businesses. We also provide assistance for homeowners, renters, and nonprofits. That's very important to know. We have physical damages and economic damages. Physical damages is not injuries. It's for the infrastructure, real estate, inventory equipment, for homeowners and renters and businesses, and for some nonprofits. That's the meaning of physical damages. We have economic damages too. That's for the losses on profits of the businesses, for ordinary expenses, for the payroll, for example. And very important to know with the economic damages, we give more time, because it's not that easy to know that you have damages because of a disaster. That takes time to look at the books. So 2 months, usually as a general rule, 2 months for the physical damages and 6 months for the economic damages. That's very important to know too. Sometimes we give 2 weeks grace period at the end of the deadline, but that means that if a person apply, it's not guaranteed that they are going to accept the application. They have to justify why they are applying late. So we don't recommend that. Also, I want to add that the BRCs and DRCs, those are in the old building of the county commissioner's old building. So usually they are separate, but here they are together. We always encourage the citizens to apply on those centers, because they can apply online, okay, but it's not that easy. Always a missing document, or that takes more time. So we always encourage the people to visit those centers. If they go to a BRC, they can apply only with the SBA. As an exception, the businesses can apply directly with the SBA. They can apply on the BRC. But if a constituent, if they visit the DRCs, disaster recovery centers, those are from FEMA, but we were there too. We have CSR, customer service representative. That means that if a person go to a DRC, they can apply with the SBA, with FEMA on the same day, same building, no duplication of benefits. That's a good one. That we always advise or recommend the people to visit the centers, because they can answer you all the questions. They can help you to load documents to apply there. So that's our recommendation. We also visit for multiple reasons. I can be talking here, but yeah, I will.
Thank you all for having us. We have more information that we can share with you. We can also come back and have individual meetings with you. Him and I, we can come and sit in your offices, and we can discuss any concerns that you have with your constituents, and we can make appointments to speak with the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Treecost, are you on Zoom? Commissioner Treecost. I think he's there. Is there anyone else?
There's not.
Okay, number one, we got that public comment. Number two, consent agenda. What's the pleasure?
I would like to discuss. Public need to understand that these new rates are going to affect our budget.
On the consent. agenda.
Yes,
It's C5.
it's C5.
Okay.
And that, we're gonna see it looks like a pretty big increase, and it's gonna be a fluctuating increase, the way it looks like they're going to do it based on the days that they're in, so it's not gonna be a set. We're going to see a fluctuation continuously every month, and what the cost is, anywhere from $45.97 all the way up to $68.95 a day. So I just wanted to bring out, and maybe we need to discuss this a little bit more and see how it's gonna affect us.
Absolutely. So this will be discussed more in our budget meetings, but I do want to explain that this is currently for this fiscal year, how we are doing the jail bill. So the rates might be a little different, but it's roughly the same, I believe, right now. The 80% of current per diem rate, the first 80% is like $44, but please don't quote me on that. So what happens is we are allotted so many days. So let's say it's 12,000 days. So for all of our inmates, for the first through the 12,000 day, we get charged for $45.97. After we go past that 12,000 day, then the per diem rate for inmates goes up to $57.46. After that, after we have an allotted number that the state tells us what our numbers are for Harrison County, we go over that, we're penalized even more, and the rate goes up to $68.95. So it's currently done that way now. It's definitely, something that we're going to have to take a look at with the upcoming budget year. But yes, absolutely.
Well, I find it interesting that you used the word that we're penalized for having people in the jail a long time.
Well, maybe that is not the correct word.
Well, but
that I should be
I think,
using.
I think it is kind of an issue that either we need to figure out some other things, but I think it's interesting, the longer we have somebody in jail, the we keep, the more it costs, and we don't have any control over that.
Part of this is even with affecting the cities, like this is to deter them from just sending someone to jail. This is for them in their municipal courts to, sentence them or do whatever, instead of just sending people to jail, trying to figure out another route
Gonna make them pony up.
versus overcrowding our jail system. But yeah.
Okay, I was just, when I went through and
I
I
don't
saw
know how
that.
they sat down and came up with that.
I'm just,
This fiscal year was the first time that we had different rates for different.
Oh, I know. I
amounts
was
of
at a
days.
meeting and they tried to explain it.
Yes.
that's all. Motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number three, payroll change notices. We have none. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Number four, minutes and or amended minutes of previous meeting from work session minutes on January 18th, 2024.
Move to approve work session minutes from 1/18/2024 as presented.
motion to approve work session minutes from January 18th, 2024 as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 5, requisition purchase orders invoices as shown on a vendor list of payments.
Madam
Laura.
President, I do have a few changes for the requisition list. I have pulled off one requisition in the amount of $636.64 for BRG Precision. It is for a quote. And until we can do some further investigation, I think that we might be able to save money on purchasing these clocks. So I want to take time to look at that one. With that, pulling that one off completely, it changes our requisition list of payments, subtracts that out. So our grand total is 192,850.22. And then I would also recommend that there are a few quotes from the 911 center for Magna 5. One in the amount of $270, one in the amount of $3,015, and one in the amount of $270. I would just like to confirm 2 more quotes on this. This is for the watch guard, so for cybersecurity, for our security systems at the different tower sites. And I also want to make sure that the 911 center and IT are talking together to make sure that we can't get a better deal by combining. So I just want to confirm those before those quotes move through.
Okay, so I understand you're pulling the 4 from Magna.
I would just like, they can be approved,
Okay,
but I just want to confirm that we have 2 other quotes for them. Each of
Well,
them.
this just goes back to what we discussed last week.
Yes.
yeah. And the dispatch room clock.
That is the one that I'm pulling completely off the list.
Okay, so, I mean, Susan, I'm fine with just removing all of those till we get,
That's what I would prefer to do.
yeah,
Because if we go ahead and approve that one, that means they can go ahead with that quote without letting us know, is it a sole source? Have they talked to IT? Are there other, get 2 other quotes?
So then if I may clean it up a little bit, we would be removing the one for BRG Precision in the amount of $636.64. We would be removing Magna 5 for the Shinston Tower in the amount of $270. We would be removing Magna 5 for the PK Lost Creek Tower and the 911 Center in the amount of $3,015. And we would be removing the Magna 5 for the watch guard support for the Grafton Tower in the amount of $270.
I just want to go back to what late fees from discussed last week. We still have some, so we need to get moving on whatever we can do for that. to not
Yeah.
happen.
Yes, so I've talked to the
Not
auditor's
as bad
office.
as last week. but it's-
No, and this is still a little carryover before we decided to try this new route, but I did get the state code. We'll be able to take care of our utility bills and that kind of stuff in a timely manner, so we should not be having any more late fees when it comes to that.
Okay. Ready for a motion on number 5?
yeah. Motion to approve vendor list of payments except for the 4 items with Magna 5 and 1 item with BRG Precision and whatever else Laura told me that I forgot.
I think you got it. That sounded all right.
Because
Okay.
there was a lot went on right there, so we will pay our bills, people. But, yes,
Okay. I'm not gonna try to repeat that. I'm just the motion as stated by Commissioner Hinkle. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay, number 6, review, discuss, consider a modification to rail trail ordinance in reference to e-bikes.
Madam President,
Yes,
I apologize to you and the Mr. Attorney. You did a fabulous job for putting together what we asked you to. It wasn't 10 seconds after I left the meeting that I realized what I had voted on. And, I just wanted to tell everybody, I'm sorry that we had to revisit this, that I wasn't, for whatever reason, thinking right. And, absolutely, I hope this gets to the support that it needs today for e-bike, scooters, and, electrical skateboards.
We're going to talk about the agenda items. That agenda item.
Well, we need a motion so we can talk about it. Or if you want to talk about it without a motion, it's okay. I mean,
No, I'll make the motion that we go ahead and move forward with allowing e-bikes, scooters, and skateboards. We've always allowed, of course, wheelchairs for the convenience of anyone that wanted to participate on our rail trail or any of our outside facilities, and we'll always continue to do that. Motion to move forward, please.
should we say that the motion is for a class 1 electric bike? I mean, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I think we need to.
No, I couldn't agree more with you. No, thank you.
Are we ready for discussion?
Sure.
Okay. I've looked over this newest proposal. I think where it says class 1 electric bikes may be used on the rail trails located, or does this ordinance apply to scooters and skateboards? Gonna ask the attorney, am I to interpret that means just that I can ride a regular skateboard or any kind of skateboard, electric or regular?
Be any kind of skateboard, electric or regular.
Okay, because to me, I could tell you to not ride an electric skateboard if I.
At first, when I first read that, that's how I read it. And then I thought about it. No, that's not what it's saying.
Again, last week we discussed this. I think we've discussed it a lot. I don't know how we expect whoever's gonna enforce this. We're saying class 1. Electric bicycle having a motor for assist. I think the one where we said that no gas operated vehicles. When we originally last week talked about it, pretty much covered that anything that was electric was okay. Did it not?
So all that I did following our conversation last week is I went to the state code. I located the definition of a class 1 electric bike. We created an exception here. I agree enforcement is going to be difficult of the ordinance. As we discussed last week, people are going to flee when they see us try to enforce. The purpose of the ordinance primarily is, in many respects, it's a moral hazard ordinance. We're going to put signage up. We're going to publish this. We're going to create a map, and we want to get notice on the trail to protect the integrity of the trail and the users that unauthorized vehicles are not allowed. Enforcement is going to be difficult. I agree with you.
It's gonna be difficult irregardless. I don't mean that.
Correct.
Well, that, I guess I misunderstood last week if that included e-bikes.
It did. We said
Not
any
welcome.
motorized bike, any motorized vehicle was the way we passed it. last
Okay, if
week.
it was in, it would have been any. How fast would, some of these electric bikes go faster than 20 miles per hour?
So there are different classifications of electric bikes, and they vary from 1, 2, 3. And yes, some do. The definition here is that when the bike reaches 20 miles an hour, it ceases to provide assistance, and you have to pedal the bike.
Right.
And that's the cap here, the only exception. So in theory, we could have someone out there, I guess, with a gun, shooting people if their motor's running and they're going 25, 40 miles an hour, like we see running around Clarksburg a lot in the early hours of the morning. But enforcement is going to be difficult because people are gonna.
It's
Right.
already difficult. I mean, that's the whole, I mean, I get it. I get it.
I think the biggest thing that we were trying to accomplish is to keep gas motorized vehicles off of the rail trail, right?
I guess
The
that.
four-wheelers, the trucks, the motorcycles. That was,
Well, we talked about before gas or electric, because there are electric four-wheelers, there are electric snowmobiles. That's the modern trend. So this was designed to address the issues which were raised last week. If you all don't feel it's sufficient, I'm happy to revisit it, but I feel like nothing that we do is gonna solve the enforcement issue which we're gonna have. It's just gonna be difficult to enforce. It's kind of like, in many respects, a noise ordinance. It's a tricky ordinance to effectuate in terms of enforcement, except here we have human beings, and human beings are, we do funny things sometimes. So people are gonna flee. I would suggest you all adopt this ordinance and we move forward.
I would just like to get rid of, just say, does not apply to electric bikes, scooters or skateboards. I think when we start doing the class, I think we're just gonna. Who's gonna make that determination while we're running, while somebody's walking or somebody's gonna go do it? Who's gonna argue whether or not that's class 1 or class 2? How we gonna get the sheriff's department to determine? I mean, I can understand the speed some, but I think after that,
I think it's fine the way it is. Okay, the motion's on the floor for approval of the ordinance that is in front of us for class 1 electric bicycle bikes, as well as scooters and skateboards. Is that correct, Mr. Treecost?
Yes, Madam President, thank you.
Any further discussion?
yes, ma'am, I'd like to make a motion to amend what's been presented.
Okay, well, what's your motion? I'll go with Mr. Treecost first.
My motion is to remove the word class 1 and to clarify that skateboards and scooters that are electric are allowed on the rail trails. So there's no questions.
All in favor of Commissioner Treecost's motion, signify by saying aye.
Madam President, exactly what Commissioner Hinkle said just now is what we're including.
I don't think it clarifies it enough, Patsy, for scooters and
I
skate.
mean, David, we can't control speeding on Route 50. Let's be
I'm
honest
not
right here,
worried
right now.
about the speeding. I'm just worried about somebody's gonna say that electrics aren't allowed.
No, I think they're,
Needs clarified.
I think we're clarifying that electrics are allowed and that we don't want anybody to feel like they're not wanted at our taxpayer filled facility. Mr. Attorney, am I correct to think that right now we're opening it up to electrical motorized battery powered
Scooters and
So they're different.
scooters?
Commissioner Treecost, are different classification of electronic bikes, which are designed to reach different speeds. Right now, we're opening it up to the bottom tier of electric powered bikes, which aligns with state code in terms of the definition. If you all want to allow any electric bikes on the trail, that's a policy decision for you all. It's entirely up to you. This is consistent with what we talked about last week, which was allowing class 1 electric bikes to use the trail. And there were some comments on that, hence the revision. But it's up to you. If you all want to open it up to all electric bikes, that's your prerogative.
okay, does this include the motorized wheelchairs?
Motorized wheelchairs have
Scooter.
always been allowed.
Okay, okay.
ADA.
And along with if you want to ride a skateboard.
This includes all scooters, all skateboards.
Okay,
The scooters or skateboards, pretty clear.
I'd like to see somebody ride it, well, on most of the trail, you'd be kind of tough to ride any of that.
And Madam President, if I may ask a question of Trey, whichever motion. Should it say this will replace last week's, the the ordinance that was approved on January 31st.
Correct. The ordinance should clarify that, and we'd be starting over with first reading, publication, second reading.
100%, 100%, Madam Administrator, Mr. Attorney, 100%. And this is opening it up to e-motorized vehicles.
No, that's not true.
So we have two. Your original motion, Commissioner Treecost, was to just allow for class 1 e-bikes.
Right.
Commissioner Hinkle made a motion for all electric bikes and to clarify in the ordinance specifically that electronic scooters and electronic skateboards are also allowed, correct, Commissioner Hinkle?
Yes.
And
Uh,
Commissioner Treecost, your comments seem to go both ways, so we need to vote on the motions and we can fix it, we can get it started.
There's no reason for two motions, just amend my motion, include what Commissioner Hinkle said, and let's move past e-bikes on the rail trail. Because as Commissioner President said just now, there's only the blacktop parts are going to be driven on with an skateboard or I mean, it's gravel, guys. So we're kind of making this much harder than we have to for
I
some reason.
understand what we're doing here. That's all. When I get a
So
chance back.
Commissioner Treecost has amended his motion to
I
align with
understand.
Commissioner Hinkle's comment
So we
And
allow electric.
to allow electric, to clarify that electric scooters and electric skateboards are allowed specifically on the face of the ordinance. And that's the motion that's on the floor.
Okay, are we allowing,
Go,
can
I'm
I
sorry.
ask a question? Are we allowing electric bikes that go 40 miles an hour?
The way the motion is
Because
crafted,
my understanding is there are bikes out there that will go 40 miles an hour.
I don't think you'll ever be able to control it, Susan. I don't. know how you-
I understand that too, but
I mean, you can pedal a bicycle more than 20 miles an hour all by yourself. I mean,
okay,
it's,
that's fine. I just want to ask.
yeah, that's all. I'm just,
Okay, so I want to make sure now, the motion is to allow motorized bikes, e-bikes.
to allow electric bikes on the trail and to specify in the ordinance specifically that electric scooters and electric skateboards are allowed.
Okay.
and I have one other that I would like for you to consider is if we're worried about the speed, then we go ahead and post the speed for the public not to exceed 20 or 25 miles an hour on the trail.
You say it's gonna be hard, not hard to enforce.
But
I
I'm
think
just
that was-
saying,
That was the beginning of all this, was so we could put signs up.
well, I'm
on
just
the
saying
trail.
that controls everything.
Okay. I'm good with that.
So does,
Patsy, are you okay with that?
Yeah, yes, please.
what is the speed limit going to be? You said
20 miles an hour.
20,
Okay.
20
okay.
miles an hour.
And trust me, guys, you put whatever the heck you want right now, because nobody's going to enforce it anyway. I mean, how are we going to do it? We're going to have a deputy running beside them? I mean,
Now, we're
seriously.
gonna make, Patsy, we're gonna make sure that when you're running on it, you don't exceed 20.
Yeah. Thanks, David. Anyway, call the question, Madam President.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. You got this, right, Trey?
I got it.
Okay,
yes,
okay. Thank
yes.
you very much for all your headache, heartache, and whatever else.
Now I'm gonna go out there with the radar detector.
Call me, I'll go
I'm
with
sure
you.
Parks and Rec will be requesting. So,
Okay. Number 7, review, discuss, consider a resolution in support of naming the walking bridge which connects Nutter Fort with West Virginia with Stonewood, West Virginia, the Bill and Thelma DeFazio Memorial Bridge.
move to approve resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution. Any discussion? Hearing-
Yes, Madam President. If it should pass right now, Madam Administrator, will you then please forward this to Senator Queen so that we can get the wheels moving in Charleston?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. I think that's a wonderful idea. Number 8, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District Series 2021 A and B, Development District Number 3, White Oaks Number 2, and Series 2008 A, Charles Point Project Number 2, North Land Bay Improvements. We have A through D. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve A, B, C, and D, and those are for White Oaks.
2 are for White Oaks and 2 are for Charles.
Motion was made to approve 8A through D. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 9, review, discuss, consider GSA update, potential executive session pursuant to 69A4B9 to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition, which may, if made public, might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the county.
Update is that, myself, staff, and, the county attorney met Monday and spent, a good amount of time, and I think we have a good handle on, what we're gonna be doing going forward. And as soon as we get that, completed, then we'll bring it to the full commission.
And if I just may add 2 things real quick. Yesterday, we did have the training for our maintenance department on the control system for our HVAC units. You know, nothing as easy as just turning a thermostat anymore. Everything's electronic. So they did get a great training yesterday in relation to that. That is not fixed yet, but that has been brought to their attention. The air that's.
What'd you say? Huh?
Yeah. The auto transfer switch for the elevators has been adjusted. Hopefully no more issues with the elevators tripping. So that was just done the other day as well. So those are 2 other things that have happened since our meeting.
We'll move on to number 10, and it appears there is nothing there.
That is correct.
Or number 11.
That is correct.
Number 12, review, discuss, consider reappointing Gary Kincaid to the Harrison County Solid Waste Authority Board for the term of February 7th, 2024 through January 31st, 2028.
Move to approve reappointing Gary Kincaid to the
Motion.
Harrison County Solid Waste Authority Board.
Motion to approve reappointing Gary Kincaid to the Harrison County Solid Waste Authority. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Laura?
I do have a few things, just, we do have the Board of Review hearing, for session this afternoon at 2 p.m. I believe FEMA has already covered, that I was going to announce that they are here, them in the SBA, over in the courthouse on 301 West Main Street here in Clarksburg. I believe they will be in the courthouse Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Sundays to be determined. We will also have this information posted on our Facebook pages for the Harrison County Commission and also the Office of Emergency Management for Harrison County. And that is all I have.
You have anything, Mr. Hinkle? I guess that's enough. Turn his microphone off. I don't have anything. So,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carried.